Hello, welcome to a very packed workshop. Now, things have changed. I have my mother's car here, so we're going to be fixing this Mazda 3. My mum's had this for years. She's done about 100,000 miles in it now. I think in that time it's needed a lambda sensor, not a lot else really, but it needs a little bit of suspension. So we're going to be doing, I think there's a drive shaft gaiter that needs doing. There is front struts, because one's missing, so we're going to do both. And then whatever else is in that box, a service. So let's get cracking. We can't use the ramp, there's a TVR on it, and it's blowing a hoolie out there, so I'm not putting that outside. Also, if I don't finish it all in one day, I haven't got to worry. Everything's all safe and tucked away in here. But I have to get the jack out. Sorry. When you get used to having a ramp, even the thought of jacks. Oh god, and kneeling down on the floor is just horrible. We are looking up into the shock there, and you can see there's some oil there. So that means the oil inside the strut is trying to escape, which is bad because it means it's not damping properly. Your actual spring is your shock absorber, that absorbs the shock, and then your damper is basically an oil-filled strut, usually with some little orifice holes. So as that gets compressed, the oil is then forced back to the hole slowly, which takes up the springing, as if that wasn't there. So if you just had the spring, you'd be bouncing all over the road every time you went over a bump. That softens it. Once oil starts coming out, it's no longer doing that job because the oil is passing the seals at the top, around the rod there. Again, you can feel wet, and your ride is very, very, very adversely affected. So we know that one's changing. Quite simple ones. There's a little pinch bolt there, anti-roll bar, and the buns on top, and then compressing the spring. But most importantly, the first job is to check that the replacements match. I just went to Monroe. They're generally OE for a lot of brands. We're just sort of looking at bracketry, and again, yeah, that's all looking alright, isn't it? There we go. Obviously it's hard to tell 100% at this stage, but you don't really want to strip it all down to then find you can't actually do anything. So we're going to clean up all those bolts, spray some stuff on them, and then we can look getting it off, can't we? These threads can be a bitch. And it really just depends on the quality of the stuff in the first place, if I'm honest. I need to ping that clip out. So what we're going to do, clean all the rubbish off the threads. Like that. And then take your penetrating fluid of choice and spray a load of that all over it. It does also help getting those sort of back together. Interesting, that's rubber. Anyway, so we've also got a little clip. There we go, go in the wheel arch. It should just come out, he says. And this will release the brake pipe. There we go. There we go. So you can see how that works, sort of slots through. The bottom is larger than that hole, and the clip holds that together. So that looks okay. They're long old pipes. Really with these, if you double back them on themselves, you see cracks Then replace them equally if the ferrules are bad, but they look fine. Brake pipes and rubber coated, so... Shall I get you out the dust? With these struts that go down into like a top knuckle, is again, if you can, just scrape out all the rubbish and get some liquid in there, or at least try to. And have a cup of tea while that sets. If you can get to the other one, do the same in advance. Drive shaft gaiters look fine on this side. They look like they might have been replaced. With drive shaft gaiters, same thing with rubber. It might look fine when it's static, but just give it a twist. If you can, bend it back on itself, and if it starts to show cracks, you know it's knackered. I did just have a look, and I'm not sure. I think there's been some power steering liquid dripping out of the top and down onto the drive shaft gaiter. But we'll have a look, because equally that might have killed the gaiter. Right, so we're going to let that just soak for a minute, have a cup of tea. So, getting ball joints off, they come in all shapes and sizes. You might get a flat on the reverse side, or they might be like this. And these are fine if they're not rusty, as you see. We can just wedge the spanner in and nip it off like that. And to be perfectly honest, by the fact that I can do that, I can guess that that is absolutely destroyed. There we go. And that is out. And those ball joints are absolutely knackered. 9 times out of 10, if someone's not been there before, if something fails, or if you've got a clonking noise on your suspension, if you've got a clonking noise on your suspension, it's probably those drop links. What links your big anti-roll bar to your suspension. A lot of time as well, that bit I put the Allen key in is rotten and round straight off, and you just cut through it with a grinder. If they're cheap, and in the past I have, but I didn't this time, just buy the drop links and then you just cut them off. Saves you a lot of time and messing about. Undoing the knuckle, which clamps onto our strut. If you remember the Range Rover video, which was that? That might have even been my first video. We had all fun with that. Oh, I think we might be again. Nope. Oh. So, this is the worst case scenario possible for bolts. Not only have you got a nice crack where that knuckle joins, through all the nice salt and all of that to get in, are you upside down? No, why have you gone upside down? Who knows? Are you upside down inside it? I don't know. Yeah, so not only do you have that, it's a clamping force as well, which makes it worse. So oh, there we go. The worst bit is the end of the bolt protrudes, which obviously means it goes all rusty. Though, because Mazda are often said it's an engineering company that sells cars, the end of the bolt isn't threaded, it's tapered, which is a lifesaver. Well, anyone else who works in Japanese cars of this sort of era works a bit on a RAV4, and whilst it may look like it had been under the sea for about 30 years, stuff just undoes. Because, from what I could see anyway, the bolts all seem to be quite quality. They're all coated new. The threads on that are like brand new. So, yeah, Land Rover, no. This, much better. So what we're trying to do, we're going to drop the knuckle off first, then we'll undo the bolts on top. And we're going to need a hammer and a chisel for that, I think. And take the steering lock off. Ah, howdy. What's the chisel for? I heard you say. Well, what we want to try and do, though it might be difficult actually on this, is open the knuckle up. That looks like that's okay. We're opening the knuckle up to make it easier to remove. So now we're just going to give us a bit of room between the jack. Yeah, there we go. And that's now loose on there. So the knuckle is just a clamp, sort of like that. And the bolt goes through those pieces and crushes it against the tube. Put a chisel in there, open it up, come straight out. Now I'm going to go above, undo the top mount, and we should make sure we're not going to damage any of those. There we are. Okay. I think we should be okay, so let's whip those off quickly. Oh, I see. Hold on. I think our little brackets. Don't do that. You're brand new. Ah. There is one thing to consider. That goes inside the jam for the nut. So, hence why I'm struggling to get it out. There we go. Pet hate, high horse time, spring compressors. People going on and on about how terrifying they are. Don't put your face in front of it. You'll be right. I will put glasses on though. They are dangerous, but you should have a healthy respect for everything you muck around with in cars. And you won't get hurt. But the amount of people I see on the internet who go, "Oh, I don't want to play with spring compressors," and then they'll grab their grinder. So how these work, I'll show you in a second. And then they'll grab their grinder with no guard on it, and the death wheel's much worse. This, very simple. All we're going to do, we're taking up the strain from the top mount. So we're compressing the spring like that until the top mount isn't taking any weight, like that. This is one type of spring compressor, by the way. This is sort of a classic style. These are made by Picavant, very good quality. They've been around for ages. They've got this lovely thick sort of Acme style thread on them. No problem. You can feel, by the way, when there's no real tension there. You can get many different types. If I did this more often, yes, I'd have a different type. I don't. These will do. There we go. And then we can pop the bomb off and put that right out the way. As you can see, this was no longer doing anything. It should return. I don't think we need to put that back on. It's quite nice saying that because it means we're changing something for a reason. There you go. How it should be. So then, rinse and repeat. We need... that was the remains of the top mount. we do have replacements, as you should. So often with these there will be stuff you have to swap over. This is like it's actually bump stop, and we do have replacement stuff. It never seems to come with like everything anymore, so we're just going to swap over that because our new one doesn't come with it. That's our new bump stop, and then that will just, there we go. I just want to check if we had a new isolator. Sorry, and then we have the new top mount. That's what it should look like, not in pieces. This is nice and easy. McPherson struts are a lovely, easy design. Sorry, what I was looking for there was a spring isolator. A lot of the time that has a big rubber thingy on it. Big rubber, like gasket washer, for some reason or another. Anyway, return our bomb, and then we'll make sure it's seated correctly. So the bottom of the spring in that case goes in there. We then pop an isolator slash top spring seat over it. Then our top mount, which has a little washer, and that, and the nut. And of course, the nut's bigger on the new one. Is there anything better than when a company swaps the sizes of nuts and bolts? To what size? Where's my face? Just a few Ooga-Doogas there. So there we go. Can't go anywhere now, can it? Then we're going to undo these slowly until your ratchet breaks. There we are. There you go, darling. How's your new home? Welcome. These are a really nice design, actually, because they sort of center themselves. We're home, and the top piece sort of finds its own mounting there. Yeah, I'll say they look weird because if you look at the spring pan, it's set bloody miles forward. I should just clean the spring up, really, shouldn't I? We'll give it a wipe. Oh, one interesting one. You often see this from manufacturers. See the paint? That'll denote the stiffness of the spring. Look at that little clean up anyway. Happy New Year, everyone. Thank you very much for watching. I think when I'm recording this, I've got 50 subs. And I know, like, in the grand scheme of things, that's not a lot. But you put 50 people, I know it's that age-old thing of making it seem more. Put 50 people in a room, and that's 49 more than the amount of friends I've got. So thank you all very much. The only thing I do on these is I just put a bit of copper grease on where it slides into the knuckle, and makes assembly nice and easy. Don't get me wrong, I don't mean to sound blasé when I talk about how dangerous or not a spring can be. Just what I'm trying to say is, don't get your priorities in the wrong place, because other things can be just as bad, and sometimes people seem utterly blasé about those. I'd say my favourite being using grinders without guards on. I don't get it. It's bloody stupid. You only need to see one grinding wheel explode to tell you that's a bad idea. What I think I'm going to do is go up slowly. There we go. No problem. Make sure that bracket. Okay, top bolt's done up. So now we just need to do the rest. Just wind that one in. You shouldn't do things up with impacts, but there's nothing wrong with winding along bolting, because it just saves you some time. Now, I will find the torque spec. Oh, but I couldn't at the moment, so on a cursory internet glance. So in lieu, we'll just do it up fully tight. Which is one, simply, put quite simply. And then we've got to put that back on. Just want to pop you back on, make sure that's gone in correctly. Anything's a hammer when you look hard enough, right? Finally, it's our little anti-roll bar. I couldn't get one quick enough, so if Mother Dearest is still getting a clonking noise, we know it's going to be that. And we'll get that swapped. So that's it. I'll see if I can find some torque settings. If not, well, they'll be fully tight. Yeah. So it's always nice when you find the smoking gun, as you saw with R1. It didn't do anything. So this corner was basically bouncing up and down. It's amazing how well cars drive, actually. But you feel 100% will feel the difference. I won't bother filming the other side unless something interesting happens. The only thing I will quickly film though. Oh, where are you going? I did find. Is that metal? You're not a British car. Come on, there's loads of metal. Is this? Now, I think the only reason that is covered in fluid is that cap was on the piss, and it's a particularly horrible design anyway. But that has, you can't really see, you probably won't see it, has actually been dripping down onto the drive shaft gator. And getting drive shafts off, is that better? Spooky. Some light. Getting drive shafts off is a bitch, so if you haven't got to do it, don't. But we'll, if you don't see that corner, then you know it's all gone well. If not, we'll go through how to remove a drive shaft and change a gator. Side, all very well and good. Back together, nice and happy. Driver's side, less so. So we got new strut. That's all going all right. The issue here, though, sit there, is this. Shouldn't do that. You might be able to see. Lower ball joint is destroyed. So we got to undo a nut that side and a couple on the inside, and get those off. I made that sound very easy. It wasn't. See, that's going so well. I thought modern cars were meant to be not rusty. Hopefully though, we now have, so basically the bolt that clamps the bottom of the hub thank God, around the ball joint was absolutely fucked. Absolutely cooked. Make sure you put the nut on before you start wailing on bolts, otherwise you'll ruin the threads. Not this one's so rusty, it might be ruined anyway, but... Oh! Yes! Easy as that. You get the other two. Come hither. You get the bolts out of there. One in there. And then that's Flamey McGee in there. Those, they're in surprisingly good condition. See, all Mazdas seem to put like a lead, an unthreaded tapered section at the end of the bolt, which for stuff like that's a godsend, because it means you don't ruin it as you smash it to pieces. Nearly there. Should we hit the brake pipe? No. Oh no. Can we punch the punch? There we go. Hey! A thingy! It's almost like someone set fire to it. You've got to pay attention to things you might have to transfer over on stuff like this. So, bump stop, ball joint, much better. We'll put some slop on that. None of the bolts were Loctited either. It's very easy to tell because they're covered in Loctite still. All we'll just do is put a little bit on the faces in there where that bush slides up, just to help with assembly. If only I had a 2-post lift. Why are ratchet spanners always the wrong way around when you pick them up? Can you see me? Hello. Sorry, I'm just laying down on the job. Two different types of suspension joints. So we've got ball joints and bushes. Ball joints, done up at any time, doesn't matter. They can move. Bushes, you need to do a final tightness once you've got the weight of the car on it. And that's because wherever you clamp that bush in place is going to be its resting position. So if you do that in this position, for example, that puts sort of tension on the bush, then drop the car down and the suspension will go up. That bush then is always under tension and it'll rip and fail early. This though, the rear one, it doesn't matter because we're not actually bolting it. The arm just pushes through like a lot of BMWs and Rover 75 as well, I think. And then the front one is a bush, isn't it? So the front one will do final tightness with weight on it. So what I'll probably do is just jack up the hub until we start to take the weight of the car, then nip it up. Because it's going to be really hard to get to otherwise. Ah, fire! Stay away. Stay over there. Your power is not needed here. Oh. That was my shoulder clicking. No, it wasn't. Okay. Sweet. Just an oil change now. Not the most interesting of jobs, as you can imagine. If you've seen one, you've probably seen them all. This is a very straightforward little petrol engine. Mazda put nice holes in the under trays so you can get to the filter and the drain plug. It died. My strap wrench. You got it off. Its last ever act. Right, plug off. That's draining. Nice little copper washer. Eee. Also, look how small the oil filter is. Look how sweet. Aww. And it goes that way up so you can pre-fill it, which is even better. The bloody pot of oil leaked. That's great, isn't it? Brilliant. There we go. Right. Why do you pre-fill an oil filter? So the engine has oil when it starts. You can actually pre-fill them even when they're not that way up, because when you pour in the oil, if you watch, you can't. I won't even try and show that on camera. It straight away absorbs into the paper element. It's quite amazing actually how much even a little one will take. Right, and then just smear a bit of oil around the rubber O-ring so it seals properly. Right, I've just nipped up the wheels and that bush we talked about. We're about halfway. I first go sort of towards the full marks. When you start it, obviously your oil level will drop slightly. Let's go up to the full mark and start her up. I think we'll just give the engine bay a bit of a nice clean as well. So I was going down, get some leaves out of it.